Hey everyone, Kyle Walker here. If you love cars, fixing things, or just want to understand your vehicle better, you're in the right place. I share hands-on tips, smart driving advice, and straight-up car talk without the fluff. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. You don't want to miss what's coming up. Let's get into it.
Every car owner has probably noticed such irregularity that the illumination of the license plate or license plate number is provided only at the back of the vehicle. In front, usually lamps are not used. These can only be homemade variants of illumination, made at the request and discretion of the motorist. The rear illumination functions on the basis of bulbs enclosed in plafons. Often two lamps are used, installed in the area of the rear trunk saber. Periodically, the lighting device can burn out, which impairs the visibility of the license plate in the dark. According to traffic rules, there is a fine for such a malfunction, since car license plates are required to be easily readable during the day and night. There is nothing complicated in replacing the license plate illumination lamp. The relevant activities can be carried out by the car owner himself, just following a few rules and recommendations. Only in this case, do not forget to comply with the applicable laws. Why change the backlight bulbs? Not everyone burdens themselves with replacing the backlight bulb of their license plate, not considering it a necessary or mandatory procedure. But it is such motorists who are the first to be penalized by paying fines. Current regulations and laws tell car owners that any motor vehicle must be equipped with special backlighting devices that ensure the visibility and readability of the license plate number. It is important to note that the rules refer exclusively to rear license plates. No such requirements are imposed on the front license plate. All modern cars from the factory receive special lights placed in the lower saber of the luggage compartment and directly next to the frame, allocated for the placement of the plate with the vehicle identification number. Initially, the illumination functions well on most cars. There are no problems and difficulties with its operation. At the same time, few people think about the fact that the bulbs can burn out at any time, and therefore do not foresee such a development in advance. This is a categorically wrong approach, because you will have to pay for the faulty lights much more than it will cost to replace the bulbs. If the rear license plate light does not work on the car, the traffic police officer has every reason to stop the car, draw up a report, and write a fine for the offense. There are several reasons to write out a fine. Here the question is not only whether the lamp is lit or not. The backlight can be on and functioning, but still shine incorrectly, not providing the necessary visibility of the signs on the plate. This is also considered grounds for penalizing the driver because he or she has violated the requirements for permitting a motor vehicle to operate. Objectively, it can be said that it is mainly necessary to change the bulbs in the lamps that illuminate the rear license plate on the car to prevent fines. This has little effect on traffic safety, since the design of the car provides the appropriate elements of the rear optics, signaling to the cars behind them about the vehicle in front of them. Thus, in poor visibility conditions, they first see the parking lights, and only when approaching the car can notice the license plate due to the illumination. If you do not want to face penalties, keep an eye on the state of the license plate illumination, check the lamps before traveling, and always carry a set of spare bulbs. This will allow you at any time, sometimes even in the field, to quickly dismantle the old lighting device, connect the new one, and, with peace of mind, without fear of traffic police checkpoints, continue driving. Penalties. As you all have already understood, backlighting is required to ensure that the license plate can be quickly and easily read by traffic. Police and traffic police officers at a certain distance. Usually a figure of 20 meters is heard. When a car is stopped for one reason or another, there should be no obstacles for the inspectors to identify the license plate number. Current traffic rules say that registration plates must be readable, regardless of the time of day and external lighting. Such a rule applies to front and rear plates. Unreadable number is considered in a situation where at least one letter or number is impossible to distinguish and read. In addition to the fact that the car owner is obliged to keep the plates clean, the rear license plate is additionally required to be backlit. Moreover, it must be in a fully serviceable condition. Since the driver may not have the rear license plate illumination illuminated in the presence of faults, this becomes the basis for imposing a fine. Most often, A protocol is drawn up for several reasons related to the working condition of the backlight. The backlight is not present at all. The illumination devices are in a defective condition. The backlight is present, but does not work properly due to incorrect installation or non-compliance of the lighting device itself with the requirements. Read also why cylinders have different compression and how to fix it. One should not forget about the requirements for the color of lamps and plafons. According to the traffic rules, it is allowed to use exclusively white lighting devices. If the illumination is present, but at the same time shines red, yellow, and any other color except white, it is still considered an offense. Hence the fine justified by law. Many motorists have had to deal with fines for a rear license plate light that was defective, incorrectly working, or improperly installed. With regard to the requirements and rules, drivers should be aware of some nuances. If we proceed from paragraph 3.3 of the current traffic rules, it says that it is prohibited to drive a motor vehicle on which the external lighting devices do not work. Since the license plate illumination lamps are positioned by the rules as an external lighting device, operation of a car with defective illumination is legally considered an offense. Pay your attention to the number of working lamps. There are 1 to 2 or more lamps in a car. If there are 2 or more lamps, but only one of them works or one of several does not work, it is also considered a violation. But only in the case when the design of the vehicle from the factory provides for the presence of several separate plafons designed to provide illumination of the rear license plate. In the absence or malfunction of lighting devices of the rear plate, license plate will be considered unreadable in the dark. Based on Article 12.2 Part 1 of the Administrative Offenses Code, a fine of 500 rubles is provided. Moreover, such a sanction may be imposed only in the dark, provided that the absence of a lamp caused the unreadability of license plates. The traffic police officer may rely on 12.2 Article 1 Part of the Administrative Code if one of the 2 lamps does not function, and from 20 meters the inspector was unable to read the first letter or symbol. In such a situation, there is a possibility of imposing a fine of 500 rubles or a warning. But there is another example, when only 1 lamp out of 2 provided by the design works, but the remaining lamp still provides good readability of the sign, which can be seen from 20 meters. Then there is no penalty. But there is one interesting trick, which actually contradicts everything said earlier. It should not be forgotten that the illumination belongs to the category of external lighting devices. And according to the law, to operate a vehicle with defective lighting devices is not allowed. It is considered a violation. Then the inspector turns to Article 12.5 of the Administrative Code. And here it says that with a defective lamp, even if the license plate is readable, can still be followed by a fine. Its size is also 500 rubles. But sometimes it is possible to get by with just a warning. As a result, we see 2 articles that somewhat contradict each other. Therefore, you should not rely on the work of only part of the license plate illumination lamps, even if it well illuminates the plate and provides the required level of readability from a distance. The inspector may focus his attention not on the readability, but simply on the non-working lamp. Since a new bulb costs pennies and you can replace it with your own hands, it's not worth getting fined. Always carry a set of spare bulbs and at least 1 spare light bulb. This will save you from unwanted fines, even if the amount is small, but still unpleasant. How to avoid a fine? There are situations when fines for non-working backlighting for the license plate number drivers will not have to pay. To begin with, such fines are not imposed in the daytime, when there is no need to turn on the lighting devices. Only during the dark hours of the day will you be stopped for such a thing. There are several basic situations when the law will be on your side, and the inspector has no right to draw up a protocol constructively. The car does not provide for the presence of lighting devices. The breakdown occurred on the road, and you have not yet had time to fix it. Only one of the lamps is not functioning. You can argue about the last point, because there is Article 12.5 of the Administrative Code, which allows you to be fined even if there is no light from one of the lamps or one of several lamps provided for by the design. If the sign remains legible, the inspector is unlikely to have reasons to stop you just because of the lamp, because he cannot see from a distance that one of the devices does not work. Notice the malfunction, usually when stopping for other reasons, but then the inspection of the vehicle is carried out and an additional reason to fine you. Read also, why foaming oil in the gearbox and how to deal with it. As for structurally not provided lighting devices, this applies mainly to old vehicles, which were actually produced without illumination for the area of the license plate. The driver can connect the lights at his discretion, but their malfunction will not be considered an offense. Here it is useful to have a certificate confirming the successful completion of 2. If you have it, the inspector will not have any rights and grounds to fine you. It can also happen that the driver drives off, being absolutely sure that the backlight is in good working order. But at some point the bulb burns out or fails for another reason. This applies to situations where the breakdown occurs on the road. It is possible to avoid punishment. But here everything largely depends on the ability to negotiate and be persuasive. If you explain in a reasoned and convincing manner that you have only just learned about the breakdown and that everything was working when you left, you can get away with a warning. It is possible to avoid fines for non-working license plate illumination, although it is not always possible for everyone. Even if you are simply warned and you continue driving, this will not prevent another inspector, located further along your route, from stopping you again and still drawing up a report. The best solution in a situation where you have noticed such a malfunction before or on the way is to replace the burned-out bulb. Self-replacement. Now it is necessary to separately consider the question of how you can replace the number illumination bulb with your own hands. In many respects, the procedure depends on the design features of your car. But in general terms, the replacement process looks approximately the same for all cars. You better know and understand in advance how to change the license plate light bulb correctly, so that in the future you can cope with the task quickly and without unnecessary hassle. The first thing to do is to buy a set of new bulbs, which should always be in the car. Usually for such purposes, choose the space under the armrest or glove compartment. There is room for everything. On today's new cars, LED bulbs with lenses are mostly used. But other kinds of bulbs can also be provided for your car. It will be right to disassemble one headlight, take out one bulb from there, and come to any auto store with it. Buy a few extra bulbs, and you can also take the plafond assembly with all the wires to connect. This is an option for when the plafond itself fails, not just a bulb burns out. To replace the backlight bulb, you need to disassemble the plafond by unscrewing the appropriate fasteners, undermining the body of the plafond with a screwdriver and removing it from its seat. Carefully unscrew the burned-out bulb. Do it with extreme delicacy, because the plafonds are quite fragile, and it is not difficult to damage the socket for the backlight. Some motorists, because of excessive effort, even tear the plafond from the seat. Now you can take a new bulb, making sure that it is in good working order when you buy it, and screw it into the standard socket. It remains to return the plafond to its place, snapping the fasteners and screwing the self-tapping screws, if they were provided. But do not hurry to get in the car and immediately go on the road. First, check that after the replacement you managed to restore the functionality of the backlight. You should not rule out the possibility that the car owner will not be able to change the lighting elements by himself. This happens if the wiring is too short. Access to the plafond requires a special key of a special size, which you do not have, or, for replacement, has to carry out complex dismantling work. However, the design of cars is different, and not always even such a simple procedure as lamp replacement can be done quickly and without problems. Here it is logical to turn to a car service, which has specialists, has the necessary equipment, and is ready to undertake the task. In conclusion, changing the license plate illumination bulbs on your car is a straightforward process that can enhance both safety and aesthetics. Regularly checking these bulbs ensures that your vehicle remains compliant with regulations and visible to other drivers. If you neglect a malfunctioning bulb, you risk facing fines and potentially compromising your vehicle's visibility at night. By following the steps outlined in this video, you can easily replace the bulbs and keep your car in top condition. Remember, a little maintenance goes a long way in ensuring your vehicle remains safe and functional. Thank you for watching, and happy driving.